Millennials get a bad rap for being lazy, non-productive members of society. We also get told that our opinions are warped and that they don't matter. This podcast is designed to express a point of view on the world as a whole, but from a millennial's perspective. I will talk about love, current events, pretty much everything that comes to mind. Come join me on this journey on speaking my mind, and I would love for you to speak your mind as well. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Millennial Mind episode 2. Thank you for joining me on another adventure of speaking my mind, and I hope to hear from you as well on your journey to speaking your mind. So this is episode 2, and I've decided to name this episode as I choose to say yes. And I'll kind of give a little bit of a background as to this topic. So I am an avid fan of The Love Hour. Shout out to Kev on Stage and Mrs. Kev on Stage. They do a phenomenal podcast in talking about relationships and how to build healthy relationships, how to express yourself in a healthy way. Like, it's really good. Like, if you do not listen to that podcast, definitely take a listen. It's really helpful, and I learned a lot of stuff from it. But anyway, so I listened to the podcast, and I learned that Mrs. Kev on Stage, Melissa Fredericks, she has a book club. So I joined the book club, and they read a book every month. And for the month of September, we read a book called A Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. And if you don't know anything about Shonda Rhimes, just like Google her. She is the queen of primetime TV. She created Private Practice, Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder. Like, she is the queen of TV. So she created this book about her year in saying yes. In the book, she stated that she would always say no to everything, and she was with her sister, and her sister told her, like, you never say yes to anything. And Shonda, she wasn't saying yes to anything because she was scared. She was scared that she would fail. She was scared that she would make a fool of herself. It was just a lot of different reasons why she kept saying no. So when her sister said, like, you never say yes to anything, that sparked a nerve. So she decided for a whole year, she was going to say yes to things that scared her. And she kind of went through everything she said yes to, from speeches to doing things that she thought she wouldn't like. It was just a really inspirational book. And if you all have not read it, I would read it. And actually, I didn't read it because I really don't have time anymore to read a physical book. I actually listened to it through Audible. And this is not an ad for Audible, but Audible is the perfect way to listen to books. It's just perfect. On the go, while I'm cleaning, whatever, I'm listening to audiobooks. So if you all haven't downloaded Audible, definitely do that. Especially if you don't have time like me to read a physical book. Audible is the perfect thing to substitute. So this book was very inspirational, and it kind of inspired me to do my own version of saying yes. But before I go into that, I wanted to go through a few of the quotes that were in the book that really inspired me. So here's one. It says, "There is no list of rules. There is one rule. The rule is there are no rules. Happiness comes from living as you need to, as you want to, as your inner voice tells you to. Happiness comes from being who you actually are instead of who you think you are supposed to be. Being traditional is not traditional anymore. It's funny that we still think of it that way. Normalize your lives, people. You don't want a baby? Don't have one. I don't want to get married? I won't. You want to live alone? Enjoy it. You want to love someone? Love someone. Don't apologize. Don't explain. Don't ever feel less than. When you feel the need to apologize or explain who you are, it means the voice in your head is telling you the wrong story. Wipe the slate clean and rewrite it. No fairy tales. Be your own narrator and go for a happy ending. One foot in front of the other. You will make it." And that was really inspiring. It just lets you know that you're in control of your own life. You're in control of your own happiness. You're in control of your own pain. You know, you only have one life. You make it the way that you want to. Do things that scare you because you never know. You may like it. So that's something that I learned from that quote. And I also have another one. Losing yourself does not happen all at once. Losing yourself happens one no at a time. And when I heard, when I was listening to the Audible version, and of course Shonda Rhimes is reading the book in Audible, which is like amazing because she's amazing. I just love her. But when I heard her say this, it struck a nerve. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, how many things have I been saying no to that could have really put me in a different place in my life, but I was so afraid to do it that I just didn't do it. And it could have just been a fear of failing. It could have been a fear that I will make a fool of myself. And I know that you all out there have felt the same way. Like, how many times have we said no? And if we would have said yes, it would have completely altered our life positively. So I was like, ooh, Shonda, you are really speaking to me, child. Like, really. So I was like, okay, you know, I need to get out of my comfort zone and start going after things that, you know, may frighten me, but on the other side, it may be good for me. You just never know. And then I also have another one. It says, "They tell you, follow your dreams, listen to your spirit, change the world, make your mark, find your inner voice and make it sing. Embrace failure, dream, dream, and dream big. As a matter of fact, dream and don't stop dreaming until your dream comes true." I think that's crap. I think a lot of people dream. And while they are busy dreaming, the really happy people, the really successful people, the really interesting, powerful, engaged people are busy doing. Which is true too. I know us as millennials, we are good for dreaming. We always say that we want our dreams to come true. We strive to make our dreams come true. But in order for our dreams to become a reality, we got to make them a reality. So if your dream is to open up a business and be your entrepreneur, make that first step. Maybe that first step is actually opening up an account to put money into the account so that you can save up for the first step in your business. Something like that. If what you want to do is go to school, maybe the first step would be to look at schools that you really want to go to or research schools that may interest you. So let's just not stop at the dream. Let's actually perfect the dream and actually work the dream so that it can come true. So Shonda, she really has some nuggets in here that really gave me food for thought, and I really thank her for being so transparent and just for inspiring me to do my own version of saying yes. So there are a few things that I chose to say yes to that I am going to share with you all. And I would love to hear your thoughts as well. So the first thing that I chose to say yes to was creating a podcast, which which is pretty much out of my comfort zone, because if you were to ever meet me in person, I'm pretty reserved. I don't talk a lot. I usually observe. I like to listen. I like to get a feel for people before I just start yakking at the mouth. So doing a podcast really got me out of my comfort zone because it forced me to express myself, to express my opinions, to to express my thoughts and ideas, which I usually don't do. And I said that I was going to start doing that. And actually, Anchor helped me to do that very easily. And I'm really thankful that there's an app called Anchor that can help you create your own podcast pretty simply from your phone or from your computer. So here's an ad about Anchor if you're interested, and I hope you enjoy. This podcast is sponsored by Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere, even on platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Once again, you can download the Anchor app, that's ANCHOR, or go to anchor.fm to get started. So, like the ad said, Anchor is very instrumental in helping me with my podcast. And I know that it's helped a lot of other people as well. So give Anchor a try. It's fairly easy to use. I wanted to get back to my list of other things that I chose to say yes to. A second thing was to go to more networking events. So this is something that I have a huge issue with, and I've said no about 1,000 times. But social events, sometimes they can kind of stress me out because I'm more of an introvert. Like, I get charged by being at home alone in my own little corner, in my own little bed. I can be whoever I want to be. That's me. So, social environments where there are a lot of people and I have to talk to people, especially coming out of work where I already talk to a lot of people, and having to go from an environment where I'm talking to another environment where I'm talking is not interesting to me. But in order for me to put myself out there as a career woman and to meet other individuals who are on the same path as I have to network. How else am I going to meet people who are on the same path as me if I don't talk to them or if I don't find them? Um, and I always say that, oh, I'm not meeting people who are my age, who um, who are on the same path as I am, working on their career. They're out there. I just didn't want to meet them. I didn't want to talk to them. So, and it was nothing against them. It was just all me. I'm just a complete introvert to the T. But I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone and do more networking, meet new people, meet people who are in the same field as me, meet people who are even maybe outside of the field as me because they still have a perspective that I'm interested in learning about. So, my goal, and I'm not making a ridiculous goal with it, like, I'm not trying to go to 10 networking events this year, but the year is almost over, so I'm kind of late, but better late than never. Um, my goal is to go to at least one before this year is up. And what I promise to do is on a future podcast, just let you all know whether I have gone to that one networking event. So hold me accountable. Say, Christian, on what's today's date? On September 19th, you said before the year is up, you were going to go to at least one networking event. So please hold me accountable. So my goal is to do that before 2020. So y'all pray for me. Another goal that I had for myself, something that I chose to say yes to, was standing up for myself or being more assertive. And this is a big one for me. Oh, this is a big one. And this kind of reminds me of, I'm going back to the Love Hour again with Kev on Stage and Mrs. Kev on Stage. So me and Mrs. Kev on Stage, we are the same person. Like, I am her, she is me, and we are we. She just doesn't know it yet. But she was saying in one of her episodes that um, she had a hard time standing up for herself as well, to the point where if she was getting her nails done and if a nail tech was hurting her, she wouldn't say anything. Even if the nail tech, did a horrible job on her nails to the point where she was bleeding, she wouldn't say anything. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. Like, how does this lady know that this is me? How are we the same person? But when you're like that, it allows people to make their own determination as to how they should treat you. And it allows people to walk all over you. And that's not the place that I want to be. Now, I've gotten better at this with being more assertive and standing up for myself. But, 4 or 5 years ago, it was horrible. Like, even if somebody would cut me in line, I would just let them because I'm like, oh, I don't want to start a fight. Now I'm like, excuse me, sir, ma'am, the line is way back there. But I still need work in that area. Just being more assertive. And that's really part of self-care. That's you caring for yourself enough where you're advocating for your own well-being. You're advocating for your rights. You're advocating for your sanity. And there's nothing wrong with that, And the first person you should be able to advocate for is yourself before you can advocate for anyone else. So that's another thing that I decided to say yes to. And I could really go a whole episode on that too, because that's really a tough subject. But that's part of my yes list. And then another thing that I chose to say yes to was going to therapy. Now, I am an African American woman, if you don't know. And in the African American community, talking about therapy is taboo. If you talk about therapy, it's like, oh, well, I'm not crazy. I don't need no therapist. When, the real thing is just how you go to a doctor, when you're sick, or not even when you're sick, when you're doing a physical, to be proactive so that you won't get sick for your physical health. Same thing with your mental health. Whether you're being reactive because something happened mentally with your health, or if you're being proactive, like a therapist is very useful for that. I went to my therapist and found out that I had some underlying issues that really came to the light. And I knew about them surface wise, but once my therapist really prodded and really dug down deep, I found out it was more than just surface. It was a deep rooted issue, like 29 years worth of issues. But she's really given me tools in order to do better in life, to help me put my best foot forward. And that right there is a whole nother episode. I got some future topic ideas, that's for sure. But yes, that's another thing I said yes to, was doing therapy on a regular. And it's been very helpful. So that's just a few of my things that I said yes to. I hope this episode gave you some inspiration so that you can say yes. What are you willing to say yes to? Let me know. You can email me at mindofmillennials@gmail.com and let me know what you are willing to say yes to. And you can start now. You don't have to start at the beginning of 2020. Start now. Say yes to something that scares you. So definitely let me know. Email me mindofmillennials@gmail.com. So I hope you all enjoyed this podcast. Let me know your thoughts. Definitely follow me so that you are made aware of when these podcasts come out. And until next week, I will see you all later. Thanks for listening.